Hello students, in previous class we discussed about is matter pure. Okay, so today we are discussing new chapter atoms, molecule and chemical reactions. In the chapter is matter around us pure, we used the terms elements and compounds. You learned about the role of separation techniques in identifying elements. The pure components obtained after the separation are either elements or compounds. In this chapter, we can use this knowledge to explain some of the observations made in previous classes, like the rusting of iron rod kept outside, etc. Does the weight of iron rod increases or decreases on rusting? The weight of iron rod decreases on rusting. We notice that on burning charcoal it leaves ash at the end. Where does the matter charcoal go? The charcoal on burnings gives off carbon dioxide, which is mixed in atmosphere. So the residue is remained as ash. Wet cloths dry after some time. Where does the water go? Water evaporates and mixed in the atmosphere. These questions and several other similar questions fascinate scientists for many years. So burning and combustion reaction puzzle them to a greater extent. So these type of questions are raised in scientists' minds. Burning and combustion reactions puzzle them to a great extent. So these burning and combustion reactions make them to think. Recall the chapter metals and non-metals. What has happened to a magnesium on burning in air? Magnesium on burning in air gives a bright light and leave ash. Okay, so the ash is magnesium oxide. Magnesium on burning in air gives a bright light and ash is remained. This ash is magnesium oxide. What happened to sulfur on burning in air? Sulfur on burning changes its state and color. Antoine Vanille Lavoisier. He was a French nobleman. He made many important contributions to chemistry and some call him the father of modern chemistry. Lavoisier studied combustion reactions in detail. He was able to find the masses of reactants and products accurately, irrespective of their physical states. Based on his observation, he proposed the law of conservation of mass. Lavoisier studied the combustion reaction in detail. He was able to find the masses of reactants and products accurately, irrespective of their physical state. So based on his observation, he proposed law of conservation of mass. So what is that law of conservation of mass? We will discuss in next topic. Chapter we use the following terms frequently: elements, compounds, reactants and products. So what is the meaning of elements, compounds, reactants and products? So element is nothing but is a pure substance. It is made up of only one kind of atoms. What is the meaning of compounds? Atoms of different elements combined together and form a new substance that is called as compound. So what is the meaning of reactants and products? Reactants means in some chemical reaction, first we are taking some substances, means the starting substances of the reaction are called as reactants. Okay, so what are the starting substance? We will discuss in next activity. Okay, by that we can understood about the reactants and products. So reactants are nothing but the starting substances of a chemical reaction are called as reactants. And what is the meaning of products? Products are nothing but the final substances of the reaction, after the reaction which are forming, that are called as products. Okay, so we will discuss about the reactants and products in this activity clearly. By that we can understand. Let us carry a lab activity to see what will happen to weight of a reactants and products during a chemical reaction. So now carry one lab activity to see what happened to the weight of a reactants and products during a chemical reaction. So what we are discussing? We are discussing one activity. That activity shows that what will happen to the weight of a reactants and products during a chemical reaction. Okay. So aim to find out the changes in mass before and after the chemical reaction. So what is the aim of this activity? To find out the changes in mass before and after the chemical reaction. So what are the materials required to perform this activity? Lead nitrate, potassium iodide, distilled water, conical flask, spring balance, small test tube, retard stand, rubber cork, thread, etc. So to perform this activity we need lead nitrate, potassium iodide, distilled water, conical flask, spring balance, small test tube, retard stand, rubber cork, thread, etc. So with the help of these materials, how can we perform the experiment? Now we will discuss. Prepare a solution of lead nitrate by dissolving approximately 2 grams of lead nitrate in 100 ml of distilled water in a 250 ml conical flask. Take 250 ml conical flask. In that 250 ml conical flask, take 100 ml distilled water and dissolve 2 grams of lead nitrate in that. Okay. Then we will get lead nitrate solution. Next, prepare potassium iodide solution by dissolving approximately 2 grams of potassium iodide in 100 ml water in another conical flask. Okay, so take another conical flask. In that another conical flask, take 100 ml water and dissolve approximately 2 grams of potassium iodide. Now take 4 ml solution of potassium iodide in small test tube from the above prepared solution. So now we prepared the potassium iodide solution. Now from that take 4 ml of potassium iodide solution in small test tube. Next, hang the test tube containing 4 ml of potassium iodide solution in the conical flask containing lead nitrate solution carefully. So once you observe this figure 2, in this figure what is there? We hang the test tube which is contain 4 ml of potassium iodide solution. Okay, we hang the test tube containing 4 ml of potassium iodide solution in the conical flask that is contain lead nitrate solution carefully. Okay, this conical flask containing lead nitrate solution. So in that conical flask we hang the test tube. In the test tube what is there? 4 ml of potassium iodide there. Okay, so hang the test tube containing 4 ml of potassium iodide solution in the conical flask containing lead nitrate solution carefully without mixing the solution. Without mixing the solution, close the flask with a cork. Okay, so don't mix these two solutions. Without mixing these solutions, close the flask with a cork. Okay, weight the flask with its contents carefully using a spring balance. Take a spring balance, weight these contents carefully. Okay, now slowly shake the flask. So what happened? When we shake the conical flask, the two solutions will mix. Okay, so when we shake the conical flask, the two solutions will mix. Okay, now weight the flask again using the same spring balance as shown in the figure 3. Okay, so here we slowly shake the conical flask. Now then what happened? The two solutions will be mixed. Now again weight the flask by using a spring balance and record your observation. So what we can observe? Weight of the flask and contents before mixing is some value will come. So imagine it has m1 grams, and weight of the flask and content after the mixing, how much will be there? Note that value. Okay, so imagine here it has m2 grams. Okay, so what can we conclude? So we have observed that two weights, that is m1 and m2, are equal. This proves that law of conservation of mass. In conical flask we took lead nitrate solution, in test tube we took potassium iodide solution. Okay, so behind that test tube which is contain potassium iodide solution in the conical flask, so we are not mixed with that two, so we check the weight, so we measure the weight of that substances before mixing, so with the help of spring balance. So imagine that value, so and write that value in notebook. Okay, and slowly shake the test tube, then what happened, the two solution will be mixed up with each other. Again check its weight with the help of spring balance and note its value. So from before before mixing the solutions we checked the weight, and after mixing the solution again we checked weight with the help of spring balance. So weight of the flask and container before mixing and weight of the flask and contents after mixing is equal. Okay, so we have observed that two weights means weight of the flask and contents before mixing is, imagine it has m1 grams. Why? Because m1 grams by written means here we are not performed experiment, no, just we are reading, that's why imagine it has m1. Next, weight of the flask and contents after the mixing is, imagine it has m2 grams. Okay, so by this we can conclude that the two weights m1 and m2 are equal. This proves law of conservation of mass. So did you observe any precipitate in the reaction? So in the flask a reaction takes place between lead nitrate and potassium iodide. Do you think that a chemical reaction takes place in the flask? Give reason. Yes, the contents in the flask are changed as lead iodide and potassium nitrate. So actually we took lead nitrate and potassium iodide solution, but after the reaction the contents are changed. What are that content? The contents are formed are lead iodide and potassium nitrate. So by this we can say the chemical reaction is taken place. Why? Because the products are here formed that are different when we compare with the starting substances. So what are your conclusion? A chemical reaction takes place and the mass remains same before and after the chemical reaction. Therefore, mass is neither created nor destroyed during the chemical reaction. So, by this we can say that a chemical reaction is taken place and the mass remains same before and after the chemical reaction. Therefore, the mass is neither created nor destroyed in the chemical reaction. Do you get the same result if the conical flask is not closed? Yes, we can get the same result. The chemical reaction takes place in the test tube is lead nitrate plus potassium iodide gives rise lead nitrate and potassium iodide gives rise lead iodide and potassium nitrate. So no gases liberate in this activity. So we can get the same results even though chemical flask was not closed. So, earlier it was thought that mass would be decreases in the burning of charcoal, but Lavoisier carried out the burning of charcoal in a closed apparatus and found no change in mass. Earlier it was thought that mass would be decreases in the burning of charcoal, but Lavoisier carried out the burning of charcoal in a closed apparatus and found that no change in mass. So starting in previous topic we discussed when we burn the charcoal, then what happened? If we burn the charcoal, then what happened? Its weight is decreasing. Okay, so and so like that we discussed. Okay, yes or no? So, but Lavoisier, he said that during a chemical reaction the weight of a substance is not changed. Okay, so so we thought that the mass of a charcoal, it is decreasing. Okay, the mass would be decreases in the burning of charcoal. In the previous topic we discussed, the mass would be decreases in the burning of charcoal. When we burn the charcoal, its mass will be decreases, we discussed it, but its mass is not decreases. Okay, so Lavoisier carried out the burning of charcoal in a closed apparatus and found that no change in mass. So Lavoisier carried out this experiment. What is that experiment? He burned the charcoal in a closed apparatus and he found that there is no change in the mass. So when we burn the charcoal, its mass will be decreasing with that. But Lavoisier carried out the same experiment, means he burned this charcoal in the closed apparatus and he found that there is no change in the mass. So Anthony Lavoisier, on the basis of his experiment, he proposed the law of conservation of mass. Okay, so Anthony von Lavoisier only performed this experiment. No, on the basis of this experiment, he proposed the law of conservation of mass. Okay, so what is this law of conservation of mass is explaining? It states that matter is neither created nor destroyed during a chemical reaction. This law of conservation of mass is saying matter is neither created nor destroyed during a chemical reaction. More simply, the mass of a product is equal to the mass of a reactant in a chemical reaction. So by depending on this experiment, Lavoisier he proposed the law of conservation of mass. This law of conservation of mass is state that matter is neither created nor destroyed during a chemical reaction. Okay, so means the mass of a product is equal to mass of a reactants in a chemical reaction. He said that. Now we will discuss about law of constant proportion. From the experiments on law of conservation of mass, we saw that mass does not change during a chemical reaction. From the law of conservation of mass, we learned that mass does not change during a chemical reaction. Now let us look at the results of some experiments carried out by the Joseph L. Proust between 1798 and 1808. Okay, so now we will look at the results of some experiments carried out by the Joseph L. Proust. Okay, this experiment carried out between 1798 to 1808. Okay, so Proust took 2 samples of copper carbonate. Okay, this Proust he took 2 samples of copper carbonate, a compound of copper, carbon and oxygen. So in copper carbonate what will be there? In copper carbonate, copper will be there, carbon will be there, oxygen will be there. Okay, so he took these samples from nature and another sample from laboratory. Okay, Proust took 2 samples of copper carbonate. So he took one sample from nature and another sample he prepared from in the lab, and he decomposed it chemically and find the percentage of copper, carbon and oxygen in the 2 samples. So Joseph Proust is also carried out some experiments. So Proust took the samples of copper carbonate. Proust took 2 samples of copper carbonate. He took a sample from he took one sample from nature, another sample from laboratory, and he decomposed it. So he decomposed the copper carbonate chemically to find the percentage of copper, carbon and oxygen. Okay, so what result he obtained? So he took copper carbonate now. So he took the one sample from nature and another sample from laboratory. So copper. So here once you observe the box, in copper carbonate which elements are there? Copper, carbon, oxygen. So he took one sample from nature now. In that copper percentage 51.35 and carbon percentage 38.91, oxygen percentage 9.74, and he took the copper carbonate from lab now, means synthetically. Okay, synthetic sample also we can call that. So that copper percentage is 51.35, carbon percentage is 38.91, oxygen percentage is 9.74. means when the copper carbonate is decomposed chemically, then he got the percentage of copper, carbon and oxygen like this. Okay, so what difference do you observe in the percentage of copper, carbon and oxygen in 2 samples? The percentage of copper, carbon and oxygen are same in 2 samples and they are mixed at same proportion. Okay, so in the 2 samples the percentage of copper, carbon and oxygen are same. Okay, they are mixed at same proportion. Similarly, Proust took water from different sources. Okay, So till now he took copper carbonate, okay, 2 samples of copper carbonate from nature and from lab, and when he decomposed he got the percentage of copper carbonate same, okay. So that is collected from nature and from laboratory, in that he got the same percentage of copper carbonate and oxygen, okay. Similarly, Proust took the water from different sources, so water formula H2O, okay, and he found the percentage of oxygen hydrogen was same in all the samples. So Proust he took the water from various different sources and he found the percentage of. Similarly, he took the water from different sources and he found that the percentage of oxygen and hydrogen. In water, oxygen and hydrogen will be there, no? So he found the percentage of oxygen and hydrogen. So this oxygen and hydrogen percentage also same in all the samples. So there was no relation between the place from where the samples came and its composition. So means if we collect from different sources, then its percentage is not different, it will be same, okay. There is no relationship between the place and from the samples came and its composition. So based on his experiments, Proust put forward the law of constant proportion. He states that a given chemical substance always contain the same elements combined in a fixed proportion by mass. So based on this experiment, Proust proposed the law of constant proportion. He stated that a chemical substance always contain the same elements combined in fixed proportion by mass. So this means that relative proportion of the elements in a compound is independent on the source or method of preparation.